Welcome to the second in a three-part series on demonstrating impact from CVS Brent's Monitoring and Evaluation Service with funding from City Bridge Trust. Last time we looked at identifying impacts, outcomes and indicators. Now we're going to look at measuring those changes. When you apply for grant funding, you'll usually be asked at least one question about evidencing the difference you make. Sometimes the questions may be a bit disguised, so do check carefully and get support if you're not used to applying for funds. In our diagram, you can see how the various elements of monitoring and evaluation fit together. Evaluation is about measuring change to assess the effectiveness of the work you do. Here's a summary of the different types of things that make up an evaluation. Monitoring information is things like how many sessions did you run, how many people came, what were their needs, etc. Feedback is what your beneficiaries tell you about their experience. Outcomes measurement looks at how well you've achieved the results you wanted. Impact evidence is similar, but that's a measure of longer term or broader change. There are lots of ways you can collect information, and only you can decide which of those are helpful to you. What information is required by funders? What do the public or your donors want to know? What information helps you understand how well things are going? When you know what information you want to collect, then you think about how you're going to collect that information. Those are your measuring tools. Most people are familiar with feedback forms. They ask questions about a service in order to assess the level of what you could call customer satisfaction. Don't forget that feedback doesn't always have to be in that format. What about creating a graffiti wall for people to scribble their responses at the end of the session? What about getting people to stand on an imaginary line across the room? One end is fabulous, one end is rubbish. Or thumbs up for approval, thumbs down for disapproval. Whatever you use, take pictures where possible, and you can include this in your overall evaluation. Outcomes measurement is different from feedback in that it measures actual change rather than just asking about experience. For example, imagine you're trying to lose weight. You may love salads, unlikely, and eat them every day. You may run 5k each morning and delight in it, if anybody actually does that. But if you haven't lost any weight when the big weigh day comes, the scales being your measurement, then you're not achieving your outcomes, however much you're loving the diet. There are many different tools to measure change, just a few are listed here. Often the best tools are those that are created specifically for what you do. In the last video, you downloaded or created a chart like this and spent time thinking about the difference you make through your activities. That's all in the first column. Have a think now about how you can evidence that change. If you were asked, how do you know, what would you answer? List these things in the second column, including any measurement tools you don't use yet but can see yourself using. Pause the video to give yourself time to do this exercise. Let's look more closely at my favourite measurement tool, the before and after questionnaire. Used well, this is a fairly scientific approach, though definitely not rocket science. It's about looking at how things are early on and then comparing that with how things are nearer the end. To use the weight loss analogy, a person weighs 20 stone, they are helped to diet and exercise, and at the end they weigh 15 stone. Naturally, it's harder using voluntary sector outcomes, such as confidence or inclusion, which is why indicators are so useful. For example, if your aim is to decrease loneliness, you could measure how often a person has company in a week, before and after.
If you was a real problem, then you wouldn't get near. Let me make this clear, and if you get scared, let me tell you should face that fear. Don't get caught like a deer in the headlights. Left scratching your head like headlights. Get your money up, spend good, get your head right.
Here you can have a go at developing a very simple before and after tool. The most important thing to remember is that your statements ask the responder to say how they are right now. They don't ask how things have changed. They don't ask the responder to do your job to assess the change you've made. Your job is to compare the answers given in the before questionnaire with those in the after questionnaire. That's the change that's taken place. Pause the video and have a go.
Yo, chunks, hopefully. I'm alright. Things get hectic, I'll go fight. You will get tested 100 times by things.
A quick note on impact. Sometimes the word is used interchangeably with outcomes, but more specifically it means the broader or longer lasting change to which you contribute. Getting evidence of this includes your own measurements, but is also likely to need you to look beyond that to see what's happening on a wider scale. An evaluation is when you bring together all the results of your measurements, plus other evidence such as photographs, monitoring stats, feedback, consultation reports. If you look at this and draw conclusions, you have an evaluation, and you can write that all up in a report if you like. Get in touch if you'd like a template report to work from. A report is worthwhile to draw from when you respond and report to funders, but it's also good for your promotions, your annual report, and most importantly, your internal review of how well you're doing and what therefore needs to be improved or expanded on. Here's a summary of how to cover the basics in measuring the difference you make. Look out for the third and final video in this series, which looks at how to use your evaluation results to apply for funds. Please note down the link at the top of this slide and let me know what you got from this series of videos and what else you need. Good luck.
We're gonna make it through this storm now. We're nearly there, yes, I can see the sun. I know this situation's got us all down. Trials and tribulations that we face, they made what we become. I said we're gonna make it through this storm now. We're nearly there, yes, I can see the sun. I know this situation got us all down. Trials and tribulations that we face, they made what we become. It's darkest for the light. Remember best to hold on tight. Don't be stressing, cause that stressing's only messing with your flight. Go be free as birdies in the early morning, chirping bright. Get some wind under your wings until you sing a different type. Song of freedom, yeah, we like. Sing it in the key of life. Melodies are full of love, but it's a war song for the fight against the fakers and them haters. Got that sniper type of sight. See them coming 100 miles and running, swerve them left and right. Left and right, left and right, left and right. Swerve them left and right.